Thank you for joining us. This is a special podcast with love and movies. Unfortunately, of the untimely passing of Matthew Perry yesterday, which would have been Saturday, October 28th. In remembrance, we decided to watch two of his movies. One that I particularly enjoy, and then one that Morgan particularly enjoy. And as I introduce myself, I am Thomas, and
Hi guys, this is Morgan. We woke up this morning and heard the sad news that Matthew Perry passed away. Most people know him for Friends. That I feel like is his major claim to fame. But of course, he did do some movies, other shows, and things like that. And we thought just a good way to kind of like honor him as an actor and an artist were to watch two movies, like Thomas said, one of his favorites and one of my favorites. So that way we can honor him and also kind of see each other's favorite way of seeing Matthew Perry as an actor.
yeah. I'm not a big Friends fan by any stretch, but that's going to lead me into a quote I actually just found. It was actually on my friend's Facebook. I'm actually going to pull that up so I don't misquote it because I feel in this context it's extremely important. So just bear with me. And this shows how much Matthew Perry thought of himself. Of course, now it's not going to be there, right? It's not going to be on the top, so I'm going to have to search for it. Give me 1 second. Hopefully it's the very first thing. No, of course not. Okay. So this is Matthew Perry's quote. I don't know when this was taken. I'm hoping it's legitimate. I feel like it is. He says, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life. I'm still working through it personally. But the best thing about me is that if an alcoholic or drug addict comes up to me and says, will you help me? I will always say, yes, I know how to do that. I'll do that for you, even if I can't always do it for myself. So I do that whenever I can, in groups or one-on-one. And I created the Perry House in Malibu, a sober living facility for men. I also wrote my play, The End of Longing, which is a personal message to the world, an exaggerated form of me as a drunk. I had something important to say to people like me and to people who love people like me. When I die, I know people will talk about friends. And I'm glad of that. Happy. I've done some solid work as an actor, as well as given people multiple chances to make fun of my struggles on the World Wide Web. But when I die, as far as my so-called accomplishments goes, it'd be nice if friends were listed far beyond the things I did to try to help other people. I know it won't happen, but it would be nice. And to me, that speaks volumes of your character, right? Obviously, you don't want to be pigeonholed into one thing, right? As people, like, I'm not just a boyfriend. Obviously, I have other things. So when I think of Matthew Perry, honestly, like, Friends doesn't really come to mind too often. Like, it does to a degree, obviously, because, that's his rise to fame, right? But I always think of him in other stuff outside of that because realistically, I don't think Friends really utilized him to the extent that they could have. He was much more than just this goofy character who struggled with women until he until he marries Monica, sort of thing. And that's sort of why I like his acting or his movies a little bit better. The whole 9 yards, the whole 10 yards, Fools Rush In, Three to Tango. He did a lot of romantic comedies. Serving Sarah was another one. And there's obviously stuff I've never seen, which I'll probably try and find later on in the week to see, compare and contrast. Even TV shows like The Odd Couples. I think like that character, because he played, I can't think of his name. Essentially the gross sports loving guy.
The untidy one, yeah.
The untidy one. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But in that role, I thought he was fantastic. You know, like it just the character development, and obviously it was an established character. You know, the Odd Couples movie, the Odd Couples 2 movie, the Broadway play, which it's based on. I mean, those are established characters, but I feel like Matthew Perry put a little bit of a spin on it to make it his own. It didn't do very well. I think it only lasted 3 seasons, 4 seasons tops. But to me, those were more of a defining moment than Friends were to me. So
Yeah, I mean, like I love Friends. Like most, I feel like most, at least most women my age, um, like Friends. But I mean, I do know him from other movies. Like I even remember Beverly Hills 90210. He did a guest episode, and this was before Friends. So I mean, like he's been around. He was around way before Friends in his career. Um, and I mean, I'm actually looking at because I tried to think about like what has he done recently, and as far as like an actor, according to IMDb, like he hasn't been an actor in film or TV since 2017. But I mean, the body of work that he leaves behind, I feel like, is still a good body of work, and he's won awards. Like he's definitely going to be missed, not just for who he was as a person, which we as fans don't really know who he was as a person, but he's definitely going to be missed for his acting ability.
yeah, I mean, they also say though, like he's one of only two people to actually have a top show as well as a top movie out at the same time, and they were talking about the whole 9 yards and Friends, I think, at the same time, which was I think 2001 is when the whole 9 yards came out.
Whole Nine Yards came out in 2000,
2000.
and that's actually your favorite movie.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So I feel like we should talk about that first,
Yeah,
since you kind of
that
segued into it.
I was like, that was a perfect segue. Like
Yeah.
realistically, I don't know. I don't think we could have done any better.
No.
Yeah. So the whole 9 yards. We actually watched that. Obviously, it has a sequel, the whole 10 yards. But I wanted to do one of each because we're gonna do the whole 9 yards, whole 10 yards, and then Fools Russian. And I was like, one, I feel like that's too much, and two, like two of my favorites compared to one of yours, it's sort of not fair. Plus, I really did want to get this out as a memorance thing, a remembrance thing, more so than a movie review, as well as like what it means to us and what these characters mean to us, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, Now, just to let everyone know, this isn't new for us. Whenever a famous individual that we enjoy a whole work of body of their art. I totally like botched that, but
Basically, when an actor or actress, somebody who is an artist, passes away,
that has a
we,
huge body of work. We tend
yeah,
to watch um, a lot of their movies. Like we watch at least 3 or 4 movies throughout the week that they pass away. It's not like we just do one day. We do pretty much like a movie a night for like a week straight. I don't remember who the last person who passed away was that we did it for,
I can't think of
but
the last person, but I think like it really started when Ray, um, Ray Liotta died.
Ray Liotta died. Yeah.
That's when we really were like it. We didn't even do it on purpose.
No.
We just every night, like I think when you came home from work or when I got
Yep.
off of work, it was just we were looking through movies and we just picked movies
Yeah.
that he starred in.
Like Casino and or not Casino. Goodfellas and a whole bunch of amazing stuff. But
Yeah.
that's not what we're here for to talk about. I just wanted to say, like, this is not something new that we've started. We've been doing this for a fairly decent amount of time now.
Yeah.
If not years, but at least like 6 months, to a year, if not longer.
We've
But
been
anyway,
consciously doing it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but like today, we made a point to watch your favorite movie and
yep,
my favorite movie
yep,
of Matthew Perry's, which I think it's actually a good contrast because, like I said, your favorite is The Whole Nine Yards.
yep,
My favorite is Fools Rush In. And they both are comedy aspects because I think that's Matthew Perry was a great comedian.
yep,
I feel like he had the like physical comedy, like he was good at that.
yeah,
Um, but I feel like yours was a little bit more like I don't know if action comedy is a
yeah. It had some action elements near the end of the movie. Obviously, when they go to kill off Bruce Willis's character, which is Jimmy Tedeschi, Jimmy the Tulip Tedeschi, you have that whole instance where three guys get killed going up the stairs. The fourth guy gets killed out on the lawn.
yeah
But like those are the realistically only real action scenes, and it's not really like major action scenes. It's really quick, two gunshots to
yeah.
the back of these guys' chest heads, and then one gunshot wound to the neck, and then the other guy gets shot a couple times. I guess I don't remember.
So I guess maybe crime comedy
Yeah,
is
it's more a
what it
crime movie.
would
Yeah,
fall under. Whereas Fools Rush In is obviously a romantic comedy.
hmm
Um,
which has some drama elements to it.
yeah.
So,
So I guess let's start. Why is The Whole Nine Yards your favorite Matthew Perry movie?
realistically, I think it shows how diverse of a character actor Matthew Perry is, right? Because the character he plays, Oz Saransky, the dentist in The Whole Nine Yards, starts off as this. I hate to say meek, but that's what he is. He's essentially spineless. Spineless is probably the better word. Doesn't really stand up for himself. Has a wife who's trying to kill him. And then as the movie progresses, like he goes from this meek, spineless character to um, a stronger character because he finds the right woman, he falls in love, and he wants to protect her. And he's like, no, I'll do anything to protect her. And he stands up against Bruce Willis's character, Jimmy the Tulip Tedeschi, and is like, no, you can't kill her. And I love her. We had a relationship, and it's sort of like that character arc. I feel like it was done extremely well by Matthew Perry because it wasn't just this instance of him going from weak to strong. As the movie progresses, you can see little things here, little things there, where it's slowly starting to be like, oh, he's growing, he's getting, growing a spine or becoming more, assertive in himself as the movie progresses. And it's extremely well done because it's not like this over the top blown out thing where it goes from him being meek to him punching Bruce Willis in the face sort of thing. No, it's like a realistic action sequence where he goes from being spineless, doesn't stand up for himself, to obviously more. And I know I've said that a couple times and I'm not really explaining it very well, but that's what I see. And so it's one of those movies where um, that's why I enjoy it, because it's Matthew Perry sort of as himself. Because he even said, I watched an interview earlier, he even said that he's the type of guy they were doing Friends, and the directors and all that interviewed him, brought him out for lunch and said, tell us about yourself. And he even said, like, I'm a decent looking guy, I know that, but I struggle with women. Like, I struggle with women. So that's what they made the character of Chandler like. But he started off as this character who got essentially enthralled by this woman, wrapped up in this woman, um, because her dad was embezzling money, killed himself, but he married her for whatever reason, and then she just used him for money, and he's like wrapped around her little pinky, and he can't say no. He just, super nice guy, and he takes that performance and he uses that because he knows what that is like, and then he slowly becomes more and more and more and more. And so I thought that was always well done.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Like, what's so funny is like even when we were watching it, we're like, why would you even marry this woman? Like in real life, why would somebody marry somebody like this?
Yeah,
Um, and then you've got like Bruce Willis, like a movie with Bruce Willis and Matthew Perry. I feel like then when it came out, people were like, what? Like this is the weird combo. Like this
yeah.
doesn't make sense. Cuz I mean, this is 2000. This is like the height of Friends. You know, Bruce Willis is still action hero.
Die
Um
Hard
y-
was still being made.
yeah, I mean like, you know, how is this going to work? And it was a really good movie. I mean, obviously it was cuz they did a sequel. Um but like I feel like the writers and everybody like behind the scenes that helps make the movie come to life, um, they casted perfectly
Hmm.
and they brought out the strengths of both actors. Because like I said, Matthew Perry, he's known for comedy. He's known for physical comedy. So even like something as simple as like towards the end when the cops come to ask Matthew Perry's character, you know, where's your car? Because by this time the car has been burned with, you know, supposedly Bruce Willis's character and was it Kevin Spacey?
Kevin Pollak, not
Kev-
not Kevin Spacey,
yeah,
Kevin
I was
Pollak.
like, I knew Spacey was wrong. So Kevin Pollock's character are burned in the car. So Matthew Perry reclines in his office chair and of course misses.
Well, he
And
tries
he
to put up his feet.
yeah, but I mean like that was just something that Matthew Perry does perfectly. And I couldn't imagine another actor at that time that movie was being made that would even been able to do something that simple or seem simple as funny as Matthew Perry did.
Yeah, it sort of almost seems like it's unintentional, but obviously to a
Mm-hmm.
degree it is intentional, right? I mean, you hope it's intentional. Like you hope it's not actually like, you know,
Yeah. But then again, you never know, like, hey, like, he might have accidentally done that. And then, like, they're like, ah, what the hell? Let's, like, leave that
yeah,
in
keep it
because
in.
that's just
Yeah.
funny. Um, I was actually reading, like, IMDb's, like, um, little trivia. And I didn't think about this until I like read this, but like I said, this is the height of Friends. He's obviously been on this movie. And around this time, Bruce Willis ends up on Friends.
Yeah, he was on Friends at this season 6,
Yeah.
which is about the time frame. Yeah, I was gonna
So,
say that.
well, I guess, and I mean, I didn't pay attention back then, but I guess there was a rumor that Bruce Willis lost a bet with Matthew Perry on the movie and he appeared on Friends for free.
Yeah,
And the trivia on IMDb is saying, no, that's wrong. Like, the Bruce Willis agreed to be on Friends because him and Matthew Perry just thought it would be fun.
yeah, yeah. Because they did the movie together. That
Yeah.
was my understanding. Like, apparently, from my understanding, is that Matthew Perry and Bruce Willis had a conversation, and he was like, "Hey, how awesome would it be if you showed up on Friends?" Like they didn't know, you just showed
Yeah.
up, and Bruce was sort of like, "Yeah, I could do that,"
Yeah.
and then
And
it just
then
happened.
like what kind of makes it like even better? And granted, yes, this is more about Bruce Willis, but you know, them being without them being coworkers basically on a film, he wouldn't have been on Friends. But Bruce Willis is obviously paid for his role. But he donates the money to charities. So I mean, that I thought that was like really cool that, and I could see how the rumor got started that, oh, he didn't get paid because he just lost a bet.
Yeah.
But I feel like this time period is kind of like Matthew Perry's like his time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, like realistically though, like I'm looking at Matthew Perry's IMDb, and essentially, like prior to Friends, because Friends was starting in 1994, right?
Yeah,
He was doing a lot of little things like TV shows, TV movies, things of that nature.
yeah,
He was on an episode of like Who's the Boss. He did this show called Sydney for like 13 episodes. So obviously, like he wasn't this big, well-known, you know, actor or anything like that. Apparently, he was on the Tracy Ullman show. I didn't know that. Um, and then he gets on to Friends, and he has what is it? One, two, three TV movies that have come out about that same time, and he does like a another TV show for like one episode. Um, another, he's in a music video as Chandler Bing. He's in Carolina in the City, which is a TV series which I've never heard of, as Chandler Bing for an episode. And then 97 happens, and he starts getting into movies. So three
yeah,
years after Friends starts, he's starting to get into movies. So he's doing movies and Friends. First movie he does, Fools Rush In, which is the other movie we watched.
yep.
Then he did Almost Heroes, Three to Tango, the whole 9 yards. He also did The Kid, which is another Bruce Willis movie. He was Mr. Vivian, which
And it
was
says
fun,
uncredited. So
uncredited.
I mean, I can't remember that movie off the top of my head, but I've got to think that that has to have been like a bit part.
Yeah, I mean something quick.
Yeah,
Um, and then he does a couple more TV shows. Does another movie, Serving Sarah, TV show, movie, The Whole 10 yards. And then, of course, Friends is ending in 2004, final season. And he doesn't really do a lot outside of that. Like, some stuff here and there, but nothing crazy like the last 10 years of his, of that time frame where he was doing like a lot,
yeah.
you know.
But I mean, also I feel like in a way it's kind of what happens in Hollywood. Like if you are on a TV show like Friends that is like uber popular, it's really hard once that show is over because you've kind of been typecasted.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean that might have been a problem. Um, Obviously we don't know, but I mean like that happens so much that I could kind of see that because honestly, if you think about it, like I can't think of any dramatic role that I've seen Matthew Perry play. So he was
Um,
basically known as a comedian his entire career.
yeah. Let's see. There was a movie I thought, I guess I was wrong, but that it said he was in that looked like a more, uh, you know, dramatic role, but it doesn't list him in there as an actor. So I don't really know. Like I thought maybe it's a TV show. The Kennedys after Camelot.
This was like a TV miniseries. I never watched it, but I know my mom did.
Yeah.
Um, so he might because he plays Ted Kennedy, um, and Katie Holmes is Jackie Kennedy Onassis.
Yeah.
Um, so and it's considered a drama. It's not considered a comedy. So you know he obviously did dramas, but that just wasn't what he was known for.
No, no.
Um,
But I feel like it's one of those things where like any comedic actor or even comedian per se um, ends up getting this weird typecast where they only really want to put them in comedy movies, and it does a disservice because they can play a full gambit. I mean, one of the things about like my thought process as comedians, whether you're a slapstick guy like Matthew Perry, who was very um, animated, like he was an animated comedian, like
Yeah.
very bodied comedian, like falling down, and like I know we call it physical, but I feel like there's a better thing for it than just physical, because like it wasn't like people were coming up to him and like the Three Stooges. I think of like when they say physical comedy, you know, slapping each other and
Yeah.
doing all those things, but it was him doing these things, or like being like a klutzy comedian, like, you know, things of that nature. But you could even see like within the role of even say Chandler, like when he was playing Chandler Bing, that there was more to him as an actor, because there was some moments where he was, you know, being dramatic. And I hate to say like being dramatic is like a negative connotation, but like he was being dramatic for the role, and it
Yeah.
actually worked out well. It wasn't just like unnecessary. I mean, there's, you know, so I feel like they do a disservice to those type of to those actors when they do that. And especially I feel like the same thing with Matthew Perry though. Like I feel like he could have been so much more as an actor, um, if he was given the opportunities. Now we don't know for say, like maybe that's all the roles that he wanted to do. Maybe that's what he wanted to play, or he may have been typecasted and they were like, "Oh, you're Chandler Bing. Like no one's ever not going to see you as Chandler Bing, so we can't, you know, have you as this role." You know,
And of course, I mean, we know that he struggled with drug and alcohol, so that also could have affected his career. Um, at
significantly.
the time of our recording, it has not been confirmed whether or not drugs or alcohol had anything to do with his death. So I do want to state that.
I did read that they found no evidence of any drugs on the premises.
Yeah,
So reality is, who knows what could have happened. I mean, it could have he could have fallen asleep. I
yeah,
mean, you know, while in the hot tub, and you know, unfortunately, or who knows? I mean,
and I hope
which
that like for his sake, um, I hope that that wasn't what took his life was drugs and alcohol. I hope that it was just some other kind of accident. Um, just because, like, I mean, it's even sadder. I mean, it's sad that he's gone, but it's even sadder when the thing that they were struggling with their whole life is what takes them away.
the demons
Um,
win.
yeah, basically. Um, and I mean, I was also reading like when they announced his death, like he just released a memoir.
Yep.
Um, so I
Friends,
mean,
lovers, and friends, lovers, and something else. Oh man,
now you got to Google it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I just
I found it. Friends, lovers, and the big terrible thing, and memoir.
yeah,
Actually, I do want to read it. Like I did see it in stores not too long ago. I think we're at Books a Million, and I saw it, and I was
yeah.
like, I should probably pick that up.
And I mean, I feel like it's released recently. Like it's not like it's been out for months. Like I feel like it was recently.
November 1st, 2022. So it's been
Oh,
almost a year.
okay.
It's got really good reviews too.
Yeah, I mean,
3.7 to out of 5 on Goodreads, 4.9 to 5 on Target. 92% like this book. So 4.4 rating on Amazon.
yeah. So I mean, it'll be interesting to get that book and read about his thoughts on his life. I feel like the quote that you read was probably from the book.
It's a possibility.
So the main reason you like um, the whole 9 yards is the growth of
Yeah,
his
I mean, like,
character.
I feel like it's not okay. So, like, I like the whole movie. It's a I hate to say it's a man's movie, right? But it really does resonate with like it resonates with me, right? You have this relationship where you don't necessarily want to be in with this woman. She's just a complete and utter chaotic mess who's driving your life completely insane. And then,
Which is not your current situation, right?
yeah, no, that's not my situation. You're extremely caring and loving, and you take great care of me.
Aw.
It's completely opposite, like of my relationship now. But when I was a young man, like when I pretty much like, I feel like every man has to go through this sort of thing. Um, it's just I don't know what it is. I'm not saying you should go through it. I'm not saying every man goes through it, but it seems like it's a more common thing. That's why it's in movies a lot, right? You have a woman who's just pure chaos in your life, and no matter what you do, it doesn't seem like you can get rid of her. And it's just she wants to kill you, and you want to kill her, but you're trying to do the right thing, and she doesn't give a shit. She's going to try and kill you, sort of thing.
Yeah, when she says I hope you die, she means it, not
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
saying something out of anger.
yeah.
Um,
Um, So if you find yourself in a relationship like that, please seek help. Please get out of it. Whatever you need to do. Don't put
don't
yourself
hire
in
a
that.
hitman like the movie.
Yeah, yeah. Don't do that.
Um, I mean, it's of course like a comedic take on like how to get out of a bad relationship. If you think
Yeah,
about it, like an extreme comedic
yeah,
take, because obviously the odds of a hitman contract killer moving in next door to you, is very rare.
yeah.
So, um,
But I mean, but the whole thing is that it's one of those things where obviously this will never happen. Hopefully in real life, or if it does, it's very, very minor, like 1 out of 1 million chance. But the reality is that it takes him to meet this strong character who's obviously older than he is,
yeah,
who's like you hate to say it, but he's a man's man, right? He's a contracted killer. He's no fucks given,
he's also very
hard,
confident.
very confident in his actions and demeanor, very self assured. And so you put these two characters side by side, and obviously you want to be Bruce Willis, right? That's who you want to be. You might not necessarily want to be the contracted killer, but you want those qualities that he has.
Yeah,
It takes that type of individual. Um, and as you can see, that Bruce Willis character has an effect on Matthew Perry, even if it's indirect and it doesn't actually seem like it's this um, strong resonance. And you sort of realize that is because there's a scene where um, Bruce Willis, his name is Jimmy the Tulip Tedeschi in the movie, he comes up behind Oz, which is Matthew Perry, and he puts Matthew Perry's mowing the lawn, and he puts his hand on Matthew Perry's back. Obviously, scares the shit out of him because he's mowing the lawn, doesn't expect it, so he shuts it down. He turns and he's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die because
yeah,
obviously contract killer. And he's like, hey, we're going out. And you can see in Matthew Perry's face, like,
I
do we
don't
have
want to go
to?
anywhere. Yeah,
Like, do we have to? And he's like, you got nothing better to do, right? And he's like, no.
I'm like,
Obviously
how
very hesitant.
how do I say no to a contract killer?
Yeah. He says, like, all right, we're going for a drive. And, like, so he puts him in the car and they go out. And the next scene, because there's obviously a cutaway, they're at a burger establishment. Or no. They're at
They're walking around because they
they're
stop at
walking.
like a
Yeah, it's
flower
yeah.
cart.
Well, they flower cart. There's someplace um, weird. I don't know exactly what it is. Jimmy the Tulip stops at a flower cart and he picks up a tulip and he goes to Matthew Perry tulip and he's like, no, thank you.
No, yeah,
And because he got the name Jimmy the Tulip because he would send tulips to the funeral home wherever he killed the person. So he was like, no, I don't want to die, sort of thing.
yeah,
That's the joke. But they go to this little like uh rotunda, outside rotunda thing, but it's completely open. It's a roundabout, and they sit there and they have a conversation with each other. And as they get to know each other, they go back. There's another cutscene, and it's Matthew Perry getting dropped off by Jimmy, and he walks around the car, and he says, I actually really enjoyed myself today. And Bruce Willis' character says, yeah, me too. And they're sort of sitting there, and he's like, okay, you can go now, Bruce Willis says to Matthew Perry. He's like, oh, okay, and then he takes off.
Yeah.
But you can see there's this forming of a friendship, which slowly starts to give Oz, or Matthew Perry's character, a little bit more strength in his demeanor, because he actually sees like how he should be acting to a degree. Obviously, he's still a wonderful individual, caring, thoughtful, doesn't want people to get hurt, and he says
Yeah.
that numerously times throughout the movie.
Yeah. I don't want anybody to die.
I don't want anybody to die, but he still sees that there's things that he can take away from Bruce Willis's character. And again, it's not like it's this in your face sort of thing, because it's a accumulation, right?
Yeah.
He meets Bruce Willis. He meets Bruce Willis's wife, who he falls in love with, and he finds out that Bruce was a horrible husband to her, cheating and all this other things. And he can see that culmination. So he takes the strength of Bruce Willis's character and with his own strengths, and he combines them. And he says, well, I'm never going to do this to the woman I love. Like, I'm not going to be that way.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like this resonation of like who you should be and how you should act. And, it actually doesn't hurt to be a good person, because throughout this whole entire movie, he's a good person and nothing really bad happens to him. Like, it's not like he gets shot and killed. It's not like he gets beat up or something crazy happens. Yes, at the very beginning, it's pure chaos because of his wife. But as the movie progresses, he's still the same individual, still extremely friendly, loving, caring. And at the end, he's still an extremely loving, caring individual. He's just stronger at the end because he's taken on characters, to stand up for himself a little bit more and all of these other things. And so I think it's just an overall great, great storytelling, inspirational movie. Has great comedy in it. There's a lot of funny scenes, Matthew Perry being most of it. Um, the great cast, Michael Clark Duncan, Bruce Willis, Matthew Perry. I can't remember um, the name of the wife, the actress who plays Bruce Willis's wife, but she's amazing in it. Uh, the evil ex-wife, or well, becomes ex-wife, obviously. She does a great role of being, you know, that role. I think that was Roxanne Arquette.
Rosanna Arquette. Yeah.
Rosanna Arquette, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, like the cast. Oh, Kevin Pollak as Yanni Gogolak does a great, this weird, eccentric mob boss from Hungary.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's a great, great cast. Like everyone does a really great job. There's chemistry with all of the cast. You can see that each of the cast members fills that niche role very, very well. And when they're actually like having these conversations, you're sort of like, okay, I can see this actually happening. Like I believe that this could actually happen with how how they're acting and everything else of that nature.
Yeah.
Um, so to me, that's why it's just one of my favorite Matthew Perry movies.
And like and this is kind of like why we did it, like seeing our favorite movies through the other person's eyes. So like watching this movie again with you, because like we actually have not watched it since we've been dating.
No, I've watched it by myself, 1 and 2, because I even asked you if you wanted to watch it, and you're sort of busy and you were doing something else. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just watch it.
Yeah. But like sitting there and watching it with you, like I feel like you kind of purposely kind of watch things and like wonder how the person beside you's taking it. But like watching the whole 9 yards with you, it was like, okay, and like it is a guy's movie, first off. And like you can kind of see why it's a guy's movie. Um and now hearing like why you like it, that it's not just, oh, it's a guy's movie, it's a comedy, I like the cast, blah blah blah. It's like, no, you also like the growth of the character. Like it's not just, you know oh, it's just funny. Like that's just
Yeah.
why I like it. It's funny. There's like a deeper reason for you, which like makes me actually appreciate the movie more.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's certain movies where you watch because you know it's that type of movie, right? Like there's no moral or anything of that nature, like Jackass, right? It's just stupid,
It's the mindless
yeah,
entertainment.
stupid funny, right? Idiots getting hurt and doing stupid stuff. You know what you're getting into. But then there's movies that there are stories, but they're hidden behind the comedic elements, right? Great example, I feel like, is the whole 9 yards, because you see this character growth, you see this change over a character arc, right? Another great example is Tropic Thunder. It is a great spoof movie. It is a great comedy movie, but there's also depth to it that most people they can't get past because they see this stupid comedic element, and it's like, no, it's so much more than that. You just got to actually watch it. Like it's just, they're great movies. um I mean, but a lot of people just see one aspect and that's all they want to see. To me though, like when I watch movies outside of like the Jackass stuff or things where I know it's just going to be like a stupid funny movie, there are elements of, morals and um, inspiration and things of that nature. Not every movie I watch is going to be like that, but for the most part, I try to stick with movies that have this element, a hidden element to it, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now, again, I feel like a lot of movies have sort of steered away from that in the coming ages. But that's realistically, like, I feel like a lot of Matthew Perry movies have that, though, because we're going to talk about Fools Rush In here in a couple seconds. And that's another movie that has a lot of um, moralistic values. It has a lot of character growth. It has a lot of story development, and it's not just a linear movie. Like, I feel like the movies now, with all the Marvel movies and DC movies and all of those things, it's very hard to find movies that have this true character arc or true um, redemption arc or true anything of that nature. It has underlying hidden elements of morals and values and inspiration and things of that nature. I feel like it's it's gotten more to, let's see how much stuff we can blow up,
Yeah.
or let's see how many bad guys we can fit on the screen where they all get their asses kicked, or let's see how many romantic partners we can throw on screen, and all these other things, and you know all these other so. But that's why I watch a lot of older movies more so now than I have in the past. Like, even I would say within the last 5 years or so, like I've started going back to a lot of older movies, like past like 2010. Like I think you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I watch a lot of newer stuff too, but it's not like I watch it regularly. Like I watch a lot of older movies regularly. Like I could watch, like I know we just watched the whole 9 yards. I could go watch it again,
Yeah.
right
Well, you'd
now.
probably go watch the sequel and
Yeah, I would
first.
go watch the
Yeah.
sequel. Yeah. So, but outside of my soapbox, let's talk about the whole Fools Rush In. The whole Fools Rush In.
You're just gonna put the hole in front of everything,
The whole,
like,
the whole, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No, no, it doesn't at all.
No. Um, so Fools Rush In is my favorite. It came out in '97, so we're still in the Friends, you know, era of
Mhm.
Matthew Perry's career. Um,
Season 3.
yeah, just like you say that, Whole Nine Yards is kind of like a guy's movie. I feel like Fools Rush In is totally a girl's movie. It is a romantic comedy. You know, guy meets girl. They, instead of just rush and fall in love, they rush to the bed. Girl gets pregnant. Like, they decide to get married. Um, but like Matthew Perry, and I mean, he even said it in the quote that, you know, or the what you said earlier, he was not the heartthrob in the '90s. Like,
No.
I don't know anybody that was like, oh my god, he's so cute. Not that he wasn't bad. He's a good looking guy.
No,
Um,
they might have been like, he's cute, but they weren't like, oh my God, Matthew Perry.
yeah. So I feel like this is one of the reasons why I like Fools Rush In, because it's not the heartthrob falling in love with the beautiful woman. It's the normal guy falling in love with the woman.
I
And
mean, let's be honest though, Selma Hayek is extremely attractive woman, so it's sort of unfair. Like they could have probably picked a little bit more homelier, you know.
but I kind of like that because, like, honestly, like, if you think about it, like, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but for me, like, yes, looks do matter. Um, but like, I'm not with you just on your looks. You know, it's, your brain and how you make me smile and you make me laugh and you take care of me. Like, it's more than that.
I mean, I'm
And
going
like,
for the dwarf look, so
but one of my favorite quotes from just any like romantic movie is actually one of Matthew Perry's lines from this movie, which is, "You are everything I never knew I always wanted." And
that
I
was
said, I
straight
was
at
at
the beginning of the movie too.
yeah, like, this is basically, where he's found out that Selma Hayek's character's pregnant. They've just met her family, her crazy Mexican family. And anybody that has like a big family knows how nerve wracking it is to bring somebody in. And let alone the fact that she's pregnant, and she's also later got to tell people, like, I'm pregnant. They're Catholic, so, pregnant, not married is obviously a big no no. Um, so it had to have been nerve wracking um, for them, because, like, I have a big family and loud family, and I know the first time I had you around them, I was nervous. And you haven't even been around the entire family in one shot, just because it's too much. It's too much chaos. It's too much loud. I don't even like being around the entire family. It's just too much for me, let alone bringing you into it. But um, I related to that part of Selma Hayek's character. You actually brought up, like, Selma Hayek is a photographer, which is one of my hobbies. So you thought that was one of the reasons that I liked it, which might have been a minor reason. But Matthew Perry kind of shows that you don't have to be the good looking guy. You just have to say the right things, treat the woman right, and you're good. And yes, in the movie they do break up, but of course he
Numerous
makes
times.
yeah, but of course he makes the grand gesture, which is what I feel like every romantic movie has the grand gesture. And every girl at some point in their life dreams of the guy they're dating to make the grand gesture. And especially like this time, I was a teenager. So I was in high school, and, I thought, oh, wouldn't that be great for a guy to say things like that to me? Especially the one line, like if a guy came up to me and said, you're everything I wanted. Well, how do you know that? Because like I am not, like everybody's different. There's something different about every person. So how can I be everything you wanted when you'd never met me? So like his line of you're everything I never knew I always wanted is like one of the best lines, romantic lines for me. Um, which is why I like it. And then like the cultural differences, like obviously the parents on both sides are like complete opposites, and overcoming how different their backgrounds are. And looking at it now, like me and you have completely different backgrounds. We were raised completely different. Um, and we've overcome it, and 5 years later, we're still together.
Dun
Um,
dun dun. Oh, sorry, just couldn't help myself.
so I mean, like it's kind of cool to see parts of things that you love about a movie kind of come into your own life. Like I don't expect a grand gesture, you know.
I'm out of
Every
grand gestures.
Yeah, you're not a grand gesture kind of guy. Would I love a grand gesture? Yes, but also realistic and know that you're never going to be a grand gesture guy.
I might be able to pull off a Jeep Grand Cherokee. That I mean, that's as much as a grand I can pull off right now.
Yeah, which I don't even like Jeep Grand Cherokee, so you can save the money. Um, but yeah, I mean, like it, and this was not just like, oh, this is my favorite Matthew Perry movie. For a while, this was one of my favorite romantic comedies. Like I had the VHS, I had the DVD. Like this was one of my, like, if I needed a romantic comedy, this was one of the ones I popped into the DVD player, the VHS,
You were eating
whatever.
ice cream and watching this movie.
I might not have been eating ice cream. Like, I wasn't that stereotypical, but yeah, I mean, like, this was one of my, like, I need to watch a good romantic comedy. Like, this was one of my go tos. And honestly, like, even watching it now, which I haven't watched it in years, I know haven't watched it since we've been dating.
No,
Like, even watching it now, I'm like, yeah, this totally would still be one of my go tos if I just need a romantic comedy fix. Like, I would watch this in a heartbeat.
yeah, because like I gave you the option. Would you rather watch this or Three to Tango? And you're like, I've never seen Three to Tango. And I was like, all right, well, we'll just watch Fools Rush In then.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, like, it was to the point, like, I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew most of the lines. Like, that's how much I love this movie. Um, and watching it with you, and I even made the comment, um, the music in the movie,
mm,
there's a lot of old school crooners. Obviously, there's Elvis because, the title of the movie. There's, Dean Martin. Um, and you love the old school crooners.
I do.
So while I was watching this beside you, I had the thought in my head, like, you know what? Even if he doesn't like this because this is such a girl's movie, at least he can enjoy the music.
Mhm. No, so on my scale though, and we didn't really talk about it on your end, which we should. We'll have to go back to. Like I didn't find the movie like atrocious, because like again, it's the same with the whole 9 yards. Matthew Perry's character actually had a character development.
Yeah,
He sort of starts off as this egotistical businessman who only thinks of himself, doesn't really care or isn't family oriented,
he's a
um,
workaholic.
workaholic, and all this stuff. And then he meets this woman, which I know, again, I'm going to be stereotypical here, and you can beat me up in the comments. I don't care. But there's this, thing where women like to, want to be able to change a man, whatever his faults may be. That's why women like bad boys, all this other shit, right? Anyway, but he meets this woman and he wants to change. Like, she doesn't actually try and change him, which I thought was refreshing. Like, she's just like, hey, I'm here. I'm putting all this work and effort in. I just want the same. I
Yeah.
just expect the same. And he actually has to put in the work and effort on himself, where it's not like she's berating him or constant being like, hey, we need to do, and obviously it's a movie, right? It's only 2 hours, so it'd be way longer, obviously. But it was still like, there are movies and TV shows where you see that happen a lot, where, like the nagging wife, like, great example, the whole 9 yards, the very beginning, the chaotic woman who's just constantly, you know, driving Matthew Perry's character crazy, right? Very stereotypical. Um, you know, Obviously you'd expect her to be constantly on Matthew Perry and being like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that. One of the very first scenes, I need $5,000, and he's like, what for? And she just hands out her hand, like, no, I said, give me money, give me money.
Yeah.
The whole Fools Rush In, you never see that with Selma Hayek's character. It's always a we thing. It's always like, we are together. We are this. She supports him in his business, even though she knows that the business is pulling them away. She is still extremely supportive of him in that aspect. So to me, I thought it was actually refreshing because you don't really see that a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's a more realistic um portrayal of a relationship, I think, in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, like, again, watching it when I was a teenager and a young adult, um seeing Selma Hayek's character be like, this is me. This is who I am, and I'm going to love you as you are. Like, I'm going to work for us, for our relationship. I need you to do the same thing. And, even like the one scene they have, the fight outside the nightclub after it opens, and Selma Hayek's character has just found out that Matthew Perry's character promised his boss the club would be open by a certain day so they can then move to New York. Well, he never tells Selma Hayek, and she says, you don't include me in your life. I feel like that's, for new relationships, that's a valid, excuse, because it is very hard when you're in a new relationship to integrate that person in your life, because just like any two people, there's going to be things that you guys do not do together. You don't both like, so you don't want to force the person to do something they don't like, and vice versa. But you still have to include them. And like that obviously is something that we learned early on, that and I'll even admit, like, it's something I even struggled with in the beginning of our relationship, was including you in decisions. And honestly, like, we rushed in too, just like the movie, we were fools that rushed in. We moved in very early. So we were living together very early in our relationship. And anybody else probably would have been like, you guys are crazy. Why are you living together? Um, you don't know enough about each other. And it could have hurt or helped our relationship, but obviously it helped because we're still together. But when I was trying to make decisions about my life, I had to learn to include you. It wasn't just, I'm going to go do this. It was like, okay, this is something I'm thinking about doing or would like to do. What's your opinion? So that way we were not living two separate lives, but living in the same apartment. We were one life. We were forming one life together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it would have been really weird if we were just roommates,
Yeah.
especially in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. But like, Another thing that I like about the movie is Selma Hayek's character believes in signs. And I've always been somebody that believes in signs. Um,
She's very
one,
religious in that movie.
yeah. One big thing, like, she saw a sign and that's why like, I totally believe in signs. Like, the universe sends you signs for a road for your life to go on. Whether or not you pick up on that sign is all on you. And if you don't pick up on that sign, your life's going to go one way instead of the way that the universe wanted you to. Like one of the big signs early in our relationship, I feel like, was our kittens, our cats. So we have two cats. I don't know if we've mentioned it before, but we were maybe 3 months into our relationship.
Yeah, 3 months, three and a
We,
half.
yeah, we were already living together. You had asked me previously, can we get a cat or a dog? Like, you wanted a pet.
I would have said
I
cat because at that point where we were living, there was no way we
Yeah,
could have gotten a dog.
it just wouldn't have been fair because no yard.
Yeah.
But I was adamant no, because I had just lost my cat like 6 months ago at that
Mhm.
time. Like, I didn't think I was ready. And then, I get a call from one of my friends who works in an apartment complex, and they found these two little kittens in the wall meowing, and they freed them, and he called and said, do you want them? And I feel like that was the universal sign of saying, you know what? You guys are ready for a pet. And specifically to me, like, you're ready to, you know, give your heart to an animal again. Um, so like, yeah, like that was like the first big sign in our relationship. And also, like, it showed me like just how much you love animals, which is one of the things I love about you.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we still have the cats. We still call them kittens, even
Five
though
years later.
they're not even 5 yet. They're 4.5. Um, so yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot that I relate to in Fools Rush In.
Maybe too close. Wah, wah, wah. No. Um, no, I mean, like,
You lost
I'm
your train
trying
of
to think.
thought.
Yeah, I had something and then it slipped, and then I started thinking of another thing and it slipped. Um, no, I could definitely see where you enjoy the movie. Like, I feel like it would resonate more with obviously the female audience than the male audience. But at the same instance, though, like, there are the points where it should resonate with the male audience as well. It's not like strictly like a romantic comedy where it's all about the woman finding the dream boat of her dreams and running off into the sunset, right?
Yeah,
You know, the man in this instance actually has a lot to overcome. He's got to meet her family and, figure out how to navigate that aspect. He's got to figure out how to give more of himself to her, because she comes from a big family. So she expects, when you say you're going to be a family, you're going to be a family. It's not just like, oh, yeah, I'm a family person. And then you never see them unless it's like holidays. It's like, no, we go over every week on Sunday to have dinner with the whole family. And when they mean the whole family, they mean the whole family: cousins, uncles, aunts, nieces, grandma, grandpa,
yeah,
everybody. So, there's that he has to overcome, you know, and it's not like it's one of those things where a lot of this stuff plays off in the background and they just talk about it. No, they actually show it. They show the character development. They show the arcs. They show the drama. They show the chaos. They show the lies, because there's points where Matthew Perry's character lies to Salma Hayek's character. Uh, I can't remember what the lie was about. Oh, the parents. He lied about the parents not being in
the country.
the country, because he was sort of like, this is where I felt it was a little weird, right? Because he didn't want his parents to know that he got married to her, and he wasn't like forthcoming with that information. But it wasn't like he specifically says, because like my parents are racist dicks or anything of that nature. But it's sort of like it's never said. It's sort of softly implied, but at the same instance, it's never ever confronted really either, which I
Yeah.
thought was really, really weird, you know. But I mean, like there is stuff for a man in the movie. It's not just strictly, you know, a woman's movie, or, like geared 100% towards women, right? I would say it's 75% geared towards women, and then
Yeah.
25 towards men. Or it could be, you could even change that up. It's geared 75% towards romantics and 25% towards the dramas, whatever, however you want to feel it. So if you're a romantic, this movie you should watch, because it's a good romantic movie. It's
Yeah.
not a, you know. Now, I'm saying that I think I've seen this movie twice. I think I saw it once when it came out, and then now, like realistically, I don't think I watched it more than twice. Just because it's not really my cup of tea. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like a good romantic movie, a romantic comedy, as long as it's got a good even split. Um,
And you feel like this
this
one does.
I wouldn't say I feel like it has a good even split. I feel like it's leaning more towards the romantic side than the comedy side. Now, there was some comedic elements in there when Matthew Perry comes home with
The
uh,
cactus in
the
his butt.
cactus, yeah, all up and down his back and butt. I felt that was funny. Outside of that, there was not really a lot of comedic elements for the most part. Like, it was very lackluster. I feel like it was more like a romantic dramedy, you know, drama
Romance
comedy.
with a side of comedy.
Yeah, well, romance with drama mixed with comedy, so dramedy, you know. So what was I
Okay,
gonna?
so since we didn't do this the scale with 9 whole yards,
Yes.
scale of 1 to 5.
I will always give it like a 4.5, because it's one of those movies where I could watch it pretty regularly and still enjoy it. Like, it's the funny parts will always be funny. The action parts will always be like, damn, that was pretty cool. And, all of that stuff. Um, so I give it a 4.5.
Okay.
How would you rate it?
I would give it a 3.5.
Mm.
It's still a good movie. I still
Mm.
like it. Like I probably would not watch it as often as you would.
Mm.
Like if you said tomorrow, let's watch it, I'd be like, let's find another Matthew Perry movie. Like let's watch the sequel or something. Like
Yeah, yeah.
give me some time between viewings. But it is, I mean, honestly, it's probably more like a 3.75. Like it's pretty close to a 4. Because I mean, it is a good movie. They did a fantastic job with the casting. They did fantastic with the storyline. Like,
And there was romantic elements in it.
yeah,
There's.
it it was um it was definitely a good movie that I enjoy watching every single time I watch it. But yeah, 3.75 I'll go with.
That's good. I mean, I would have expected a little bit lower.
From
Um,
me,
just in general, not necessarily, from you, yeah, but just because of the fact is like it's not like, well, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that, because like it's not like over the top comedy. It's very on the nose. Like Matthew Perry is doing his goofy stuff, running into windows, doors, sight gags and things of that nature. So I mean, it's not like stupid comedy for the most part. You know, um, no like extreme gross comedy sort of thing. Um, it's everything is very you know stand upish, I guess. It's not so. I feel like a 3.5 or 3.75 is within the realm of reason. Obviously, I'd rate it higher because it resonates more with me than you. So,
Yep.
okay, so how would you rate Fools Rush In?
Um, I feel like it's no surprise just because of how I talked about it. I totally give it a 5.
Ooh,
Just
perfect
because,
score, huh?
well, yeah, I mean, like, because it is a movie that I've watched countless times. It's a go-to movie for me. It's got one of my favorite lines. Um, so I mean, like, I could watch this movie over and over again. Like, once we're
So you
done
could watch it
recording,
right now.
yes.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's why it's a 5 for me, just because it's a yeah.
Gotcha.
So what about you?
Um, honestly, like a 3.25, three and a quarter.
Okay.
Um, more so because like there's not enough for me to like get into it a second time. Like there's not enough comedy throughout the movie to be like, oh yeah, this is good. Like to keep me engaged. Um, the dramedy part of it happens like in different like it doesn't, again, the dramedy
It's
doesn't
too few and
happen.
far between.
Yeah. You know, I mean it's a good movie. I think Matthew Perry and Selma Hayek together have good chemistry. Like it is totally believable to a degree. Even in the movie, I feel like one of the lines I liked in that movie is that Matthew Perry says to Selma Hayek, I didn't expect to be standing um, in the bathroom while I'm in, pick you up. And Selma Hayek turns to him and says, "You mean when I picked you up?" Sort of thing. And it's sort
Yep.
of like, yeah, she really did pick him up because obviously Selma Hayek, Matthew Perry, right? Who's
Yeah.
picking up who?
Yeah.
Um, so to me, that was sort of like okay, like they know realistically, you know. So I enjoyed that aspect. I enjoyed the um the character developments, like I said. Um, the story was good. It's reasonable. Shit like that happens all the time. People thinking it's a one night stand or one night fling end up, making babies together. Um, so that's not out of the realm of possibilities. People trying to make it work because they're having a baby, but end up actually truly falling in love with each other. Again, not out of the realm of impossibilities. Then obviously when things start hitting the fan and their relationship is new, obviously the drama ensues, the arguments, things of that nature. Again, all reality based. There's nothing crazy about it. So that's why I give it a 3.25, because like it's not it's not asking you to believe in the unbelievable, right? It's
Right.
not asking you to be like, once they got married, they lived happily ever after indefinitely, and they have only been together for 27 hours, sort of thing. No, they like made it realistic enough where it was entertaining. Um, Now, being that I did give it a 3.25, I could one and done it. Like I don't think I would watch it again. If you wanted to watch it again and there was nothing else on, I might sit down with you. Or if you're just like, please just watch it with me, I'd be like, all right, sort of thing. But at the same instance, if you never ever ask me to watch this movie again,
You're not
I,
missing out.
I'm not gonna bring it up. It's
Yeah.
not like I'd be like, we haven't watched Fools Rush In together in forever. No, I'll find something else.
It's also
I'll
too hard to get you to watch movies that we both love. more frequently. And this, I feel like this is a topic for like another episode, but there are movies that we both love where you've actually specifically said, don't watch this without me. And it's too
Yes.
hard to get you to watch those movies sometimes.
But
Like,
that's also because, like, again, well, we'll talk about it because
yeah,
we're talking about it. We might as well just talk about it. It's one of those things where, like, there's certain movies I love, like Aladdin. I love Aladdin. I grew up on Aladdin. It was probably one of, if not the very first movies I remember seeing in theaters. The soundtrack, Robin Williams is fucking amazing in it. Um, like, it's just an amazing movie for me.
yeah. But like,
I,
again, I feel like this is like totally like we could have another episode just on this.
I know,
So I
but we're
don't want
talking
to
about
get,
it.
I know, but I don't want to get like too into it because this is
I know it's
also
supposed to be
about
about
Matthew
Matthew Perry,
Perry.
but okay, let me finish my thought,
Okay.
and then we'll stop. So, but with the movie Aladdin, I have to be in this element where everything is like perfect, right? I've got to be happy. Nothing can be going on. There can't be any distractions. I have to have the right comfortability factor because I'm when I watch Aladdin, I like lock in. So whatever position I'm in, I'm locked in. Like that's. So to me, it's the perfect storm. It has to be the perfect storm. Otherwise, I can't watch it because it'll just ruin the flavor of the movie, right? Like I feel like if everything isn't perfect, then it will ruin the flavor of the movie, which I know is not real because it's a great movie. Nothing could ruin the movie, but mentally up in the dome, that's how I think. Okay, end of
Okay.
story.
Okay.
So back to Matthew Perry and Fools Rush In / the whole 9 yards. What did you enjoy about the whole 9 yards outside of the comedic elements?
Honestly, just the chemistry between Matthew Perry and Bruce Willis because it's such an unlikely duo and they worked well off each other. And they didn't change kind of the characteristics they're kind of known for as actors um, to make them work good together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. Like I think that's a great thing. Let's see. I feel like what else can we talk about? Like
I mean, I think that's actually like a good place to end it. Just because I mean, we have gone a little bit over an hour. This is a special episode because we do want to pay tribute to Matthew Perry. And we could probably like talk hours about the whole 9 yards and Fools Rush In, as well as like other movies that Matthew Perry was in. But I feel like this is a good place to end it.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Well,
Um, Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, thank you so much for listening to podcasts. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to hit the likes. Um, if you are someone who believes in prayers and thoughts of that nature, don't forget to keep in your prayers the well wishes of Matthew Perry's family and friends who are actually close to him, because obviously they're going through a rough time. Even if you listen to this a couple days, even months or years later, still, take the time out because obviously those things never truly go away. Time, they say time heals all wounds, but I think it just makes it less. So, you know, also uh, watch a Matthew Perry movie.
Yeah.
You know, watch all the
Uh,
Matthew Perry movies.
yep. I do want to leave with another quote from Matthew Perry. This is just like a short one, but he at one point did say, "There's nothing better than a world where everybody's just trying to make each other laugh." And I think that's a great quote from him. And it's a great thought that should go out in the world because I feel like we do need more laughter. And with the loss of Matthew Perry, we have one less person that was talented enough to make millions of people laugh. So he will be missed by friends, family, loved ones, and obviously the millions of fans that he's entertained his whole life. He was only 54 when he passed yesterday, so it's still young. He could, so there's always going to be the what more could he have brought to the world. So yeah, I agree with you. Prayers to his loved ones that knew him on a personal level, because this is obviously something way harder that they're dealing with. You know, but yeah, he will be missed. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening. And like Thomas said, go watch a Matthew Perry movie and put in the comments your favorite Matthew Perry movie, because there might be one that we haven't heard of.
Yeah. With that being said, thank you so much again, and have a wonderful evening.
Have a great night, guys.